All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for the NBA Summer League. Now, if you guys are someone that's maybe trying to play some NBA DFS, this video will be helpful for you there as well. And we're actually going to start off with a quick update that I made to the 9to5 website just for that as well. But that will also help us with our props betting. It goes hand in hand. So let's start with touching on that. All right, guys. So what we have here is we have the NBA lineup optimizer, which is kind of something I threw together specifically for the Summer League based off of the PGA custom model that I have going. But basically, it's just a simple version of what we could use to do NBA DFS lineups. But again, this will kind of tell us which players are expected to play well and whatnot there as well for prop betting purposes. Again, it goes hand in hand. And what's going into this tool specifically is we are looking at players' projections based off of their prop lines. So if you guys are someone that's maybe playing NBA DFS, that is included in the 9to5 membership for $10 a month. It was something I could make available, and so it's something that I did make available for you guys. That's something I tend to do with the memberships whenever possible. So if we just run the lineups, it is a little slow running the lineups, just as an FYI, but it will work. What we're going to notice here is we're getting a decent amount of high total projected points. So we are expecting some high impact performers for this slate in general. So I did want to start with that, but let's go ahead and jump on into this slate. So this is worth calling out. We have one game that's pretty high scoring, relatively speaking, for NBA Summer League purposes. The Bulls versus the Pacers, 187.5 is pretty high scoring. We also had the Hawks versus the Rockets, which I'm a little bit surprised this one isn't higher scoring. We have a lot of minutes going to a lot of players, and so that helps with predictability. Like Reed Shepherd's been going off. Toppin's going to be someone we mentioned here as well. So I do think we're probably going to spend a decent amount of time on that game and probably this game. And then from there, we're getting some games that are not as good. We see, potential blowout here. Charlotte versus Dallas, 7.5 points. That's a lot for a Summer League game. And then the late night games are not as bad, but, lower scoring here. Potential blowout here as well. So, we do start to worry about it a little bit on the end there. And I also do want to start with another thing real quick. I probably should have really started the video out with this. We are getting some pretty decent prop line differences, guys. So David Jones-Garcia is someone that I think we should be potentially running out middles. This is off by 2.5 between prize picks and underdogs. So we see his line on prize picks at 24.5. That is definitely too low. And just real quickly, when we look at his game log, I was a little bit worried about his minutes that we saw in the first game, only 18 in that. It turned out that was simply just because it was a blowout. Okay, so he ended up playing 27 in the next game and continued to go off like he has been going off. And so my assumption is that he's still going to continue to get run. If he still continues to get run, then that line that we were getting on prize picks is just specifically too low, guys. Like that should not be happening. You could really bet on any of them though. Like his points is off by 1.5 as well, but the points, rebounds, and assists, the fact that it's off by 2.5, I'm happy to get to that over there as well. And then we are getting one more as well that I want to touch on. And so if we just type in NBA SL here, we have David Jones-Garcia there. Isaac Jones is interesting there. Again, David Jones-Garcia again. But Devin Carter. So Devin Carter is interesting here as well. So for his over 16 points, I do think that this ends up being a pretty good bet for us as well. Again, looking at underdog, it's at 17.5, which I would say is more correct. So first and foremost, if we just take a peek at his price on DraftKings, this is pretty high for DraftKings purposes. So the whole reason I'm calling this out is they expect him to have a good game based off of that price, right? And then we just take a peek at his minutes, guys, 30 minutes and 24 minutes, okay? We love that. Okay, in the first game, 2 for 14, just shot the basketball terribly, right? So we weren't too worried. Or at least I wasn't, and I was kind of expecting him to have this much better day shooting the next day, 10 for 13. Now, we got to see a little bit of the middle there, and if that does end up happening, we are expecting him to probably get to at least 16 points there. So I do think that ends up being a pretty good line for us there. And that really does it where we are getting those like big prop line differences. So I do kind of want to do a little bit of a game by game breakdown slightly, not too much. I just want to touch on some players that I think we are getting some good lines on, so that the video doesn't become too long. So, for example, Jacob Toppin is an interesting play here, I would say, in general, for prop betting purposes. And I want to call it the minutes that he's gotten, guys. 27, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Okay, and so then we look at his lines that we were getting. To me, these scream to be a little bit too low. If you guys want to get to the 14.5 points, you could. I do like the over PRA of 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists, or potentially his over 5.5 rebounds. That's a bet that I'll get to if those other lines that I just mentioned, David Jones-Garcia and Devin Carter, get corrected. I think that's where we should be getting most of our action, but this is another bet that I am pretty comfortable with getting to, assume that he's going to continue to get those minutes. And again, it is an appealing game, I think, for the overs. Now, this is a pretty appealing game in terms of like players that are going to get a lot of minutes, at least on paper. So we got Kobe Burfkin here, where we see he's gone, 28 minutes, 26 minutes, been productive with those minutes. Newell as well, where he has gotten a decent amount of minutes, 26 and 26 minutes, been very productive with those minutes there as well. So we're getting, at least a decent amount of players that have gotten some heavy minutes. And we look at Houston, you got Reed Shepherd, who obviously has been dominating. It's strange though. Like, I think given the fact that they have lost twice now, really not important for them to play, well. Whereas Atlanta, if we go back to them, just pulling up a random player here, they've won twice in the summer league. So obviously that matters. I think players are going to be more likely to play more minutes because they have won. That is something that you see once these players start to put out good performances, they kind of tend to get shut down. And so when we're looking at Reed Shepherd, who has been really, kind of dominant through 2 summer leagues now, I kind of expect him to maybe get his minutes limited in this game. Probably doesn't happen this game, maybe next game, but you guys get the point there. There is some risk there. And so when I see a lot of people betting on him for his over PRA and his points, I get it, but at the same time, I do think it's somewhat risky there. That's to me a spot where I think we should be staying away from. Now, chances are if he's going to have his minutes limited, he probably would just sit. And so there's probably nothing wrong with betting on him because if he plays, he probably will play. I think it's more likely that he ends up sitting rather than anything else. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into the next game. We got Chicago versus Indy, and I did see word out there that, I'm not going to butcher his name, Noah, I'm assuming, lots of names, guys. I did see news that he was potentially sitting in this game. So if that does end up occurring, we are gaining a lot of projected minutes then probably to some of these other players here. Freeman Liberty is someone that I like. He's been playing a lot of minutes, getting a lot of shot attempts up as well. He's someone that we did see last summer league play well as well, but he kind of ends up in the same regard as someone like Reed Shepherd, where is it going to make sense to continue to get him run? I think so. I think we could kind of be comfortable betting on him to get those minutes. Thus, his production is going to be pretty solid. Another player that ended up sitting last game was Bazelis there. Again, probably butchering his last name, guys. Mattis there. Mateus. Oh, geez. I'm kind of assuming that he's going to sit again in this one. I haven't received any confirmation about that. Again, that's the difficult part there. But again, if those 2 players end up sitting, then Freeman Liberty is someone that just becomes extremely appealing. And as we're going to see, we're not getting any prop bets for him, which I don't like. That's annoying. And so if we take a peek at the prop bets that we are getting for Chicago, we're going to notice it is a very limited board, I would say, in terms of who we can bet on if these 2 end up sitting. We see Yuki here where we got his assist and we have his points. And he would really need to get more minutes for me to feel comfortable betting on him. We see in the first game or last game got 5 assists, the first game 2, not exactly a lot of minutes. So we would need that increase in minutes there for him. And he does play for Chicago. Obviously, they're struggling. DraftKings is struggling with their headers here. Now, that does kind of suck because this is a game that, again, we do probably want to be attacking some over just simply because it's a game in which we are expecting a high game total and a closer game as well. So I mentioned Freeman there earlier, guys. He is someone that I do like as an over bet for over 12.5 points because the minutes should be there for him. Okay, we look at the minutes last game, only 23, but that game did end up being a blowout there. He still had 15 points, 11 rebounds in that game. Was extremely efficient. That is a little bit of a worry, 4 for 5 there. If he has a day where he goes 5 for 9, probably not going to get there, but 30 minutes in the first game, 10 and 7, so like not terrible, and then 3 assists there as well. So, pretty solid game overall. Sorry, 19 points in the first game. So yeah, I do think, again, assuming that this game is going to be high scoring, if Vegas is correct about the game being high scoring, then his over points at 12.5 to me seems too low. Now, we do got to make sure Ray J. Dennis is going to play. Furphy, I'm not touching. And then Cam Jones is interesting as well. Okay, so we need to get confirmation that Jackson's going to sit before we bet on any of the other players here, just as an FYI. But Ray J. Davis, he had 25 minutes in the last game, 1 for 10. Okay, I'm okay with him going 1 for 10. He still shot the basketball 10 times while being absolute trash, right? He made 2 points. Okay, so I actually don't mind the idea of him, maybe just having an off day. Those minutes are going to continue to be there for him. He does become an interesting player. Then you also have Cam Jones, who is a player that, will shoot the basketball a decent amount. I think in terms of usage, we do expect Dennis to have more usage there. But Cam Jones, 30 minutes, 10 points. I get why people might be inclined to bet on him, but I think for the most part, we're probably just staying away from them minus Freeman. And then let's go ahead and jump on into that next game. We got Charlotte versus Dallas here, guys. One player that I want to call it, KJ Simpson. So again, they have won 2 games in a row, so I think he's going to be more inclined to actually play in this game. That's always the difficult part here. He had 30 minutes and 29 minutes, 19 points and 21 points. So love that there. 4 assists, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. Just very productive, right? We see the shot attempts 16 and 15. I love that there as well. So I'm actually curious as to why we're getting some of the lines that we were getting for him. We pull it up here, guys. His points at 15.5 to me just seems to be too low, right? Am I crazy for that? I don't think so. I think that's too low. And so I think I'm happy to get to that over again, assuming they're still going to play the 30 minutes because they've won. And let's just double check here. They are the favorites in that game as well. So if Vegas is, again, correct about how this is going to go, 7.5 points, that's a very interesting line there, right? For Vegas in a summer league game to give us that 7.5. Yes, KJ Simpson over his points. And then we look at his teammate as well. It's another interesting line that we're getting there as well, where he's pretty productive points and rebounds wise, and a decent amount of run here as well, 28 and 27 minutes here as well. So again, if Vegas is right, 7.5 points, we're probably looking at some overs here as well. Now, to me, his lines are a little bit better, I would say. I don't know if we necessarily need to go on them as much, but I don't mind his over points. His rebounds are interesting there as well. I don't think he's going to get, I think betting on him to get 2 assists, to bet on the points, rebounds, and assist line is probably too much for me. I don't think I exactly want to do that, so I'm staying away from that. But if you want to bet on, those 2 players to get their overs, I'm perfectly happy to do that. Just, kind of betting on Vegas to be correct. Now, I think it's worth calling out. Khan was out in his last game, guys, so there was a little bit more production thrust to Simpson. And, I can't need to listen to some pronunciation guides for the players here. His teammate there as well. So it does become more difficult there. Now, I do think that if Khan plays in this game, that does impact the minutes more for Liam McKinley there, whatever. Liam, where he has 30 minutes, 29 minutes as well, 14 points, 22 points, a lot of production for him as well. So if Khan does end up sitting in this game as well, I think we're going to be kind of happy to get to him as well. There is a little bit of risk again with this, but the nice thing about NBA is if we want to stack these games, we could easily stack Liam for over his production as well. Ryan Kalkbrenner, someone that's getting a lot of minutes, his overs as well. I don't hate. Again, 7.5 points is a lot for an NBA Summer League game, so I could see getting to that. Now, when we look at Dallas, Ryan Nembhard is interesting, had a bad game. The last game had a great first game. I'm just going to be staying away from them. Again, they're 7.5 point dogs. That becomes a little bit more difficult in terms of predicting minutes. All right, so real quickly getting into Miami here, guys. Just going to be staying away from Miami. Honestly, I expect someone to sit in this game just because they're 0 for 2 now. If we look at the lines that we're getting Ware and Larson lines. We have seen Larson already sit 1 game, so I'm kind of expecting Ware to sit as well. Just not a spot where I think it's going to be worthwhile for us to get to. So we look at Boston as well. Boston's a little bit more interesting. Hugo Gonzalez does make sense to get some minutes. Baylor, Shireman as well, potentially, but I think Hugo's the one we want to look at the most. But again, that's something where we need to get confirmation on his minutes. Okay, so for the most part, I think that this game ends up just being a stay away for the most part. I expect someone to sit. It's a game where to me it's more difficult to predict, and it's just not worth it to me. So another team where we have to worry about, some players sitting, like Kyle is probably going to sit in this game, I would imagine. Just he's shown enough right now. Just shut him down, 24 minutes, 30 minutes. No reason for him to play in this game, really. And so if that does end up sitting, we are potentially maybe looking at a lot of potential minutes opened up. Like Walton Clayton Jr. sat in the last game. He's probably going to be active in this game. Now, I would assume, just given the fact that he sat the last game, we'll see. We don't know for sure. Potentially he could be shut down. If that ends up happening, Cody Williams becomes extremely interesting. He is someone that does make sense to get minutes. He saw 36 minutes, guys, in last night's game. 27, he's been extremely productive as well. That suggests that when those players are out, his usage does go up a bunch. And so I would want to bet on his overs, but again, kind of looking at the board that we're not getting any prop bets for him. Maybe Ace Bailey plays, but I kind of could see all these players potentially sitting here for Utah because these are all players that probably will get minutes for them during the season. So again, unfortunate there. And then just for an FYI, guys, again, San Antonio, the only player I think we are betting on is David Jones Garcia. Mentioned why, big prop line difference for him. So we're going to jump on into the next game, and I want to jump back into the NBA prize picks cheat sheet that we have going here. And I want to call it the Sacramento lines that we're getting. So we got Isaac Jones here, 10.5 points. I think that's decent. Then we also have Devin Carter, as I already mentioned. That's already a bet that we're getting to. We have Renard there, and then we have Clifford as well. So let's just take a peek at all 3 of those other players as well. So Jones is someone that we've seen him 11 minutes or 11 points the last two games, 27 minutes, not exactly shooting the basketball much. So that's my concern. 2 for 3, that's terrible. And then 4 for 9, right? Just not enough shot attempts. So I do think we're probably just staying away from him. No real reason to go off on him. And then Clifford is an interesting one to me. I do think I probably want to bet on his overs. 29 minutes, 25 minutes, 19 points, 17 points. To me, that becomes much more interesting. And so again, when we look at the lines that we're getting for him, 14.5 points, I think I'm going to be okay betting on his over. Okay, I feel like that's a solid line that we're getting more of a later bet. That's not going to be on the bet of the day. Geez, I have so many bets that I actually like already. I guess I will include that. To me, it's a more interesting day in terms of like narrowing the bet slip down. But yeah, we're going to get to that one. And then I do want to call it with Reynard as well. Interesting lines just in general, because if we look at it, this is strange. This should not be happening. So Prize Picks line for his points is off by 1. Prize Picks is lower. Then we go to his points, rebounds, and assists. Prize Picks is higher. Okay, so there's something wrong there. There's something off. And I would suggest that the Prize Picks line for his points, to me, that's telling me that line is just clearly wrong. And so again, just looking at his minutes, 29, 26, 17 points, 16 points. I think we're happy to get there. And again, look at those shot attempts, massive, 15 and 11. Love that there from him. And then real quickly, let's get into the last game. I am somewhat punting here, guys. I know the LA fans going to hate me. I know there's a decent viewing base there as well. Cam Christie would probably be the only one I think we could rely on to get minutes and productive minutes. We see the minutes, 33 and 34. Love that. 21 points the last 2 games. It is the back end of a back-to-back. We worry about that a little bit. But I will say, like, geez, his lines are too low as well. 14 points. I feel pretty comfortable betting on his over there as well, assuming that those minutes are still going to be there for him like they have been. And I don't see why not. If he doesn't get those minutes, I think he's just going to end up sitting, which could end up happening. Like, we haven't seen Kobe Brown yet for the Clippers. Okay, maybe gets run. I doubt it. Okay, we look at some other players. JT Miller has been extremely productive as well, playing a lot of minutes as well. And so again, I think the assumption is they've won 2 games. They're going to keep trying to win, and so we could potentially be looking at some over bets for him. And I think my theme for today has become, we are probably trying to do stacks here, okay? So we look at Miller. His lines are a little bit higher. And so again, looking at Cam Christie compared to Miller, probably going more Christie. I think these lines are a little bit more correct, but at the same time, slight edges there, I would say, assuming that he's still going to get these same minutes that he has gotten. Okay, from there, Flowers is interesting. 21 minutes, 18 or 29 minutes, has been productive, but not exactly someone I think we can rely on. And then from there as well, let's talk about Simpson. 24 minutes, 27 minutes, been productive, but not exactly a lot of shot attempts for me to truly trust him. And then for the Lakers, I don't want to bet on anyone. I really don't. They've been a little bit annoying in terms of their production. Stewart would be the only one I would want to get to if I were to. So nothing there. Okay, guys, so we go ahead and get into the bet of the day. 6 of the bet, taking advantage of some of those prop line differences. But I do want to call it. If any of the bets that I'm getting called out that get bumped, that I like up, probably just not betting on them because we've already got them action on to them. Probably would then get to Cam Christie, okay, to fill in there. So just as an FYI, that's the route I'd be going. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys would like access to the 9 to 5 NBA DFS cheat sheet or optimizer for Summer League, check that out. It's available on the website. It's under the More tab. It's included in your $10 a month membership, and then you guys can get access to the Prize Picks optimizer as well as all the other tools available on the website. Thanks for watching. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.